Hey everybody, welcome back. I am your host, and today we discuss the first two Ninja Turtle movies from the 1990s. Now, I could probably do a thing on the whole franchise and the movies, but to be honest, that is a lot of content to cover and way too much detail to go into for me because I don't know almost anything about the comic books themselves, and a lot of the cartoons that came on later, I was not a fan of, so I avoided and I hated the live action series of The Next Mutation. As for the movies, it was a hit and miss deal with a lot of them, in my view, especially after the first two. But now, anyways, back to what I was doing. What I was saying, with the Ninja Turtle movies, these are stated to be based off of, if you watch the opening in the movie, the opening credits, to be based off of the comics more than the cartoon series that was running at the same time. Growing up, it Growing up, the Ninja Turtles were my favorite thing to watch on Saturday mornings. My favorite character, Raphael. Something about the sarcasm and the comedy mixed together was great. But I liked him in the movies better, just as much because of his attitude being more realistic. And another, I mean, okay, and with the Ninja Turtles also, okay, let's start with the 1990 film. You had Elias Cotis as Casey Jones, Judith, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce her last name correctly. I want to say Hoig as April O'Neil. Now, I'm only going to list the voices of the Turtles, but they did have people who actually wore the suits separately. Um, but the voices were Josh Pace, or Pius. Sorry, I'm not sure which way that goes with him. For Raphael, Brian Tochi as Leonardo, Corey Feldman as Donatello. Most people would remember him as one of the Corys, and also for his drug problems, which comes into play later on. Robbie Wrist is Michelangelo. Kevin Clash did the voice of Splinter, and even the Shredder actually had a voice character. Had a voiceover deal. I did not know. I did not realize that when I was a kid. Till when I was older, I didn't realize that the Shredder actually had a different voice than the person playing him. But David McSharon, or McCharron, sorry again, it's because of the way it does with the MC deal. I'm not sure how to say it exactly. As the Shredder, or Oroku Saki is his real name. The plot of the first one is news reporter April O'Neil stumbles upon a group of mutated turtles who fight a crime syndicate connected to Master Splinter's past and is now running New York. This crime syndicate, of course, is the Foot Clan, with Master Shredder leading it. Okay, some interesting notes that I found. This one, only because it's come out since 2003, or since the 2000s. Or I've only heard it since the 2000s. So I'm not sure on this. But the rumor is that the ooze that causes the mutation for the Turtles and Shredder also caused Matt Murdock to go blind. before he became Daredevil when he got older. So I found that as an odd note because that would connect him to both Marvel, because that would put the Turtles as having now been connected to both Marvel and DC as they have a movie with Batman, which puts them right in the middle of a mixture deal. When when the movie was released in other countries such as Japan, the word ninja or other things would be cut or changed. In Japan, they changed it to homeland or warrior instead. In UK at this time, they had a ban on nunchucks, so they actually did a big in the theater, the television, and the VHS versions, all heavily trimmed two scenes in the movie. One dealing with Michelangelo and a Foot Clan member, and the second, a scene with Shredder and Splinter. Also, the original Ninja Turtles was the highest grossing independent film until the Blair Witch Project came out in 1999. Which to me proves that sadness apparently took over in 99 with the Blair Witch. Sorry for those who actually enjoyed the Blair Witch because I hated it. So that's the reason why I say that. Also, a rumor for this that I found because I couldn't find it in anywhere to confirm it. Robin Williams, who was a big fan of the Ninja Turtle comic franchise, offered Judith notes on her character of April when they were working on Cadillac Man, which is when Turtles went into production. Okay, now for my notes on this film. The good was the good humor. It had good jokes, such as Donatello and Casey debating who Mary Ann ends up with on Gilligan's Island, while in throwing insults at each other. The movie length isn't long, so it's there and then it's over. Each character is distinct in the way they're set up, and to me would probably mean that they're actually more towards their comic book nature. Also, the origin story of Splinter is told in the movie is actually closer to the origin story in the comic than the cartoon was. The only bad thing that I could actually find is that it showed stereotypes of people thought to be living in New York. Comment about seeing Raphael flipping over the cab. They say, guys, what was that? And he goes, it looked like a giant turtle. And then asked if they were going to LaGuardia. And just threw it off. Instead of just general surprise. And then and also the way it comments about New York people in general with April when they interview her later on about the mugging that took place earlier in the film when the Foot Clan tried to attack her and she got rescued. And before you think I should have said spoiler, only one of these things I've mentioned so far might qualify as a spoiler, but the majority of these are well-known scenes in the film, or they happen in the film early enough that it doesn't matter. Now, for the final on the first film, I recommend watching it, and I think personally it's the best in the entire franchise. And this includes the Megan Fox movies that came later on. And really, the Megan Fox ones, I think Michael Bay went crazy with those. Because that looked like the turtles were drugged out instead of mutated. And my grade for it is a B plus on the 1990 movie. Now, in 1991, Paige Turco took over the role of April O'Neil. David Warner joined the cast as Professor Jordan Warner. Frank Weckler, our um, Fred Jones and Scooby Doo guy, joined as the voice of Toka and Razor. And Adam Carl took over Corey Feldman's spot as the voice of Donatello. The plot: the Turtles face off against Shredder again, whom has now taken possession of the last of the mutagen that created them and uses it to create a pair of his own monsters known as Toka and Razor to settle the score to settle the score with the Turtles. But the Turtles are also looking to get the answers behind their history with the secret of the mutagen itself. Um, the way the Judith situation for why she didn't reprise her role in this film as April O'Neil goes one of two ways. I mean, they both say it's about her complaining, but one says it's in complaining about the violence in the movie and the schedule, and the other states that it's because she stood up for the stunt doubles while complaining about the violence and the work schedule. So either way, and the people in charge told her not to come back. And they went with Paige Turco instead. Judas says there's no hard feelings, and actually, the two Aprils would meet 17 years later and become friends. And people also thought Paige actually resembled April more. Ernie Reyes Jr., who plays the character of Keno, the pizza delivery boy in the movie, was created to replace Casey Jones. He was previously the stunt double for Donatello in the first film, and he impressed the crew and director so much that they created the role of Keno specifically for him. The creators of the Ninja Turtles, Eastman and Laird, I'm probably mispronouncing that out, felt it would have been better to have Shredder return in a third film, but the producers wanted it to be more like the cartoon, so he was placed in the second film as returning. They wanted it to be a third film because they wanted the second film to be about something different, and then have the third film, the Shredder return, to be more believable or more of a surprise type deal. And this film got greenlit and out quickly because they thought the whole franchise was going to burn out quickly, and also the fact the first film had already exceeded all expectations that they had for the franchise. Also, Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze is dedicated to the memory of Jim Henson. The creators wanted them to stay away from the cartoon, and stick more to the comics, as they felt there was plenty of material in the comics to make another good movie. Personally, I agree with the creators on that. And Toka and Razor appear in the movie due to the creators not wanting Bebop and Rocksteady in the movie. And to me, this looked like how the studio decided to compromise, because the movie seems to be more towards the the cartoon style, but at the same time, it holds a decent factor to it. So by having Toka and Razor in it, they didn't have Bebop and Rocksteady, which made which made the creators happy. And at the same time, they brought Toka and Razor in. There you go. You got the little servants to Shredder that were mutated. Also, something that didn't make it into the film that was supposed to is that the actual secret of the ooze is that the ooze is made by aliens. But this is cut from all video versions. It was in the script. It was, I'm guessing, in the comics, but never made it to the actual movies or videos that came out. Um, in the movie, Michelangelo makes a statement about seeing Toka and Razor at WrestleMania. This could be a nod to the fact that Kevin Nash, at the time, aka Diesel, appears in this movie as the Super Shredder, as he's referred to. And trust me, you'll see why they call it that when you watch it. Later, the Turtles had action figures that would have wrestling appearances. Such as Raphael coming out as Sting, Michelangelo as Randy Savage, Donatello as the Ultimate Warrior, and Leonardo as John Cena. The ironic thing is, none of them were Kevin Nash or Diesel in any way. Now, the good for this, it had a good length. The comedy, not as good as the first, but it's still there. And I think it's because parents complained so much about the first film being so dark that when the comedy does happen, it's just there. So it's a bit thrown off, because this one was lighter. So actually, the comedy is a 50-50. It falls under good and bad. Bad, Toka and Razor were boring characters who really were just destructive. They didn't really have anything. The secret of the Ooze title, due to the subplot of it being revealed that it was created by aliens, being cut, makes the title misleading. And as I stated, due to parents' complaints over the darkness of the first film, and the company going lighter when they made this one, and going lighter when they made this one, makes it more closer to the cartoon rather than the first film. Does hurt it a bit. My recommendation is that you still watch it, though it won't be as good as the first one in my view. And my grade for it is either a solid B or a B minus. Now, I'll see you all next time. Have fun.